All right, this one is for you, Capricorn. Hold on. Welcome to Tarot Lumination. This is Tarot Lumination. This is you, Capricorn. This is your love and relationship report for what we call August 2018. We're on a clock here, always. Now, you're probably aware, if you've watched this channel before, that right now we're dealing with some serious heavy-duty eclipse energy. So I want to give you a little bit of a preview, like an appetizer, just for fun, okay? Before we get into the cards, let's find here. Okay, so you're going to be over here. Here it is. Okay. Give me a second. As you can see, this is a highly professional channel, and everything is well rehearsed. We know exactly what we're doing here. So this is a very simplified, generic astro doodle from Tarot Illumination for Capricorns, and we use these on a little bit more on the general reports, and I use them a lot for private readings and for my own navigation to get through the month. But for you, Capricorn, right now, let's have a look. Basically, we're talking about the big event, which is the new moon Leo eclipse on August 11th, okay? Right here, okay, Capricorn, there you go, August 2018, the new moon eclipse, August 11th. So you're going to have the sun and the moon and Mercury and the North Node all very tightly aligned right up here in what is called your 8th house. So, let's have a look. 8th house. Okay, other people's money, other people's resources, like the deep soul merger that can happen with sexuality, death, going into the deepest, darkest places, crossing the river Styx and all that. Taxes, again, part of shared resources, how we can't get by with taxes. The people who provide our services can't do that without taxes. The energy of deep intimacy, the energy of shared resources. It's like the energy of what happens when you mix the DNA of you with the DNA of another, which is what happens deep in a classical fashion marriage, and you make kids. That kind of energy, okay? So, for you, Capricorn, with the eclipses, that means old ways are being eclipsed out and new ways are being eclipsed in for all of these subject matters. So with the energy in particular of intimacy and shared resources, that can be very uncomfortable for a lot of people, because it's like, okay, it's great hanging out, meeting people at the workplace, sleeping around or something. It's great having a true love romance over here. It's wonderful to get married if you pick the right person. It's awful if you pick the wrong person. And then the thing is, what happens once you're deep inside the relationship? This is where this energy comes into play. It's the deep intimacy. Like, now we're contracted, now we're bonded. What happens now when you get deep under the covers? Like what they say when you get into bed with someone, that's what we're talking about, okay? It's the deep things that happen when we merge. So that's going to happen for you at that part of your life. Secondly, just for you, Capricorn, I made a little note here, August 23rd, right here. There's going to be a huge Capricorn stellium of planets, okay, just all piled up. So you're going to really feel that in your face too, and that will affect how others perceive you. This is the first house of self, okay? And over here, the 7th house. But we'll come into that later. We just had the first of the Cancer Capricorn eclipses that are going to be really piling up in 2019. So you might have had a glimpse of this already here from the middle of July, but it'll really pick up in 2019, okay? But for now, let's just focus on the eclipse here, okay? I will not focus on it. Let's just take that into account when you're thinking of relationships, okay? But we don't really need to say anything more about that. We're going to read the relationships according to this Tarot Illumination type of perspective, where there's you, there's a significant other, and a third entity itself called a relationship. And when two truly loving people get that and understand that, they do everything through the relationship, so that this is what counts, okay? It isn't just about you or them or each other, which is very nice, but for the long term, we really need to take it to this level, okay? So that's how we're going to read this. Cards are well shuffled in advance. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals, none of that. Sorry. Gotta keep things very fluid here. And right now, sometimes the energy flow is so extreme here at Tarot Illumination that I have to do everything I can to dumb it down so that I can handle the cards, what's coming through my body, my spirit, and all of that. Please remember, this is, you know, more or less a couples reading, but singles can watch it too if you want to. Okay, on the understanding that, you know, the laws of attraction, you're always radiating energy, and then what are you attracting to you? So the energy of the other over here could be like a what if, you know, who's out there? What's it like? All right. Please bear with me. I know that was a very long introduction. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay. Bless these cards. Bless this deck. Bless this reading. Bless this viewer. Thank you so much for visiting. Over here, love energy and frequencies that you are radiating, whether you like it or know it or not. Same thing with a significant other over here. Deep inside of you, what are you radiating? Deep inside of the other, what are they radiating? And over here at the core of the relationship itself. So already you can hopefully see this is the crucible. I call this a crucible spread because it allows for you and the other and the relationship. And in a loving relationship, both parties invest in the crucible and conduct everything through the crucible in order to make it the best for the other, and the other can make it the best for you. Instead of trying to get what you can from each other, you invest in each other, and that creates momentum. Over here, circumstantially, we're going to look at this as the weather, and we're going to make the best of it. And you have Four of Cups here. This little card has been coming up a lot recently for all sorts of readings. And to me, my feeling is that for you, Capricorn, it might be that you might have hit a bit of a speed bump with the in the middle of July with the Cancer new moon eclipse, where that really might have shaken you up regarding love and relationships, because Cancer energy would be your 7th house opposition. Let me just show you here. Okay. We would be talking about this. We just had the Cancer new moon eclipse right here, okay? But when we're getting the tailback effects over into August now. So that's what I'm feeling here, is that you might have taken a hit, you might have hit a speed bump, and made you realize, like, oh my gosh, there's so much more that's going on. I wish I had got my act together better, but what can I do now? It's if only this, it coulda, woulda, shoulda done that, and like, I'm not sure what to do now, woe is me, because you're still perhaps reeling a little bit. But it's also an indication that the love is still out there, and all you have to do is refocus your attention. Energy flows where attention goes. Don't ever forget that, okay? So let's just keep going. This is not the end of the world. It's an indication that, like, you might be licking your wounds, so to speak. Let's have a look over here. Wow. 10 of Pentacles. So my feeling is that whatever shook you up happened for a really good reason, partly to remind you of how fortunate you are in certain aspects, in like what is it that defines a truly loving relationship for you that you would want to radiate? And that would look something like this, you know, the wealth, the abundance, the stability, the structure, the family connections, the family relationships, having it all in such a way that it's not so much about the romance itself. It's like the evidence of love, where I know this is going to sound really like below the belt, but I don't want to say it, but like, no finance, no romance. Okay, so you might be dealing with this awareness that finances are very, very important for you in love and relationship, and it's important for the significant other. It's important in relationships. Finances, things like material stability, structure, all those things are very, very valuable as evidence of love in a relationship. Now, you can have the biggest mansion in the world, but if you're some sort of pervert, that's not going to help, you know. But if you've got shelter, food, a way to sustain yourself above and beyond to the point where you can share that, it looks to me that's what you're radiating here. And if you're not that, then it's an indication that this is kind of how you would like to go, where you are It's almost like faking it till you make it, where it looks to me like you're doing everything you can to radiate some of the most attractive energy that's possible to have in a significant mate so that you would be seen, okay, be seen as valuable and a really good catch. Again, going back to this energy over here, you're going to see that much more next year. You might get a glimpse of it over here on August 23rd. And just remember, uh, we're still dealing with all the eclipses at that time. So please allow for August and a good chunk of September to be very, very choppy, okay, for everybody. I'm just giving that warning, that caveat to everybody, including Capricorns, because you're typically very stable and keep your stuff together even in the face of deepest adversity. What about the other? What are they radiating? Okay. Well, with the Six of Swords here, it might be like you're it's almost like you're doing everything you can to create the stability in the home, to create the structure, the new layers of wealth and abundance that would be your version of love is as love does. In other words, some people it's all about doing really impressive stuff. For some people, it's about being super romantic and seductively attractive. For you, it's like physical evidence, like the serious reality of what it takes to have a loving, functional relationship. You know, we talked about that. Some money in the bank, maybe qualifications, skills that allow a loving couple to endure in 3D reality, because 3D reality can be very harsh at times. And if you don't have a lot of this going on, things can get bumpy. So this looks like it's a really top priority for you now. And in some ways, it might be quite appealing to a significant other because they might see you, like, even though this is really their energy, and like, sure, moving on, peace, seeking peaceful, calmer waters, moving away from turbulence. If there is any kind of turbulence that's occurring between yourself and a significant other, I don't see it as uh, really noxious or disruptive. It's just that they might have other ideas on their mind and would prefer, they're looking for peace and tranquility and even stability. So it might be that they're actually, uh, like, say, I mean, this is going to sound really, really strange as a reading, but it's like they're coming to you for a big hug. They want a big hug from you. They know you can do that. You can sometimes radiate that energy of the really solid, stable one who can provide that sense of security and stability to others who might be a bit shaken up in such a way that they would be so glad to be with you, to see with you, that they would. It's not all about the smoochy making out. It's all like, I need a big hug right now. I need to separate myself from anything and everything that's not working, and I need peace and serenity, and I need to find that place. And if that place is away from you, in other words, if they are embarking away from you, and maybe you're sensing that as a good thing, please allow it to happen. You know, relationships do change and evolve and grow. So I'm a bit mixed with this card in ways that it's like part of them is seeking their own peace and tranquility, of course, in the context of a relationship. But it could be that they're showing all the characteristics of someone who is, you know, operating with one leg in and one leg out of the relationship. Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing, because a lot of people have to do that. Like, you know, a lot of couples have, 40, 60 hours a week away from each other, and maybe just a couple hours together in the evening before they sleep, you know, and that's it. And some people want a lot more. Some people need a lot more. In fact, there can be a lot more, but it's a question of priorities. If everything is all about the work and the money, and there's not enough room for them just to sort of, enjoy the stability and the substance, then it's just like, well, what's the point? So if they're showing signs of seeking peace and tranquility and some kind of solace outside of the relationship, please understand that, Capricorn. Don't take it too personally. Remember, this is just one reading. My first impressions, though, is that they need a big hug from you. They might be shy about it. Like no matter how rough things are, maybe you're the only one that they have to lean on. Let's have a look. What's coming out of you from the inside? Wow. Okay. Well, with the death card here, deep changes, deep transformations might be happening inside of you to do with, I call it like deep vibrational energy healing. And this is what you might be needing, what you might be wanting. But the way it's happening might not be in a conventional sense. Maybe there's a part of you which is seeking separation or seeking some kind of cutting away of anything and everything it translates into BS in your life, in your world, in the context of a loving relationship, so that you can reach some kind of equanimity, some kind of peace and balance and harmony. And maybe there's stuff going on with them over here which you really can't fix. Like it's not even your problem to fix. So it puts you in a very difficult position of, well, what am I supposed to do? Like you might want to seek out to heal and transform the other. You might like to receive transformation and change and healing from another. But if that's happening or not, that's a whole other thing. Because it might be like, again, I'm going to have to go back to the eclipses. With the Cancer new moon eclipse, you might have got seriously rattled and like shaken to the core in terms of relationships, where you realize that there are big shifts, big changes, big cutting away. Sometimes the death card can indicate serious cutting away. We could relate this to the eclipse, where whatever is not yours, whatever does not belong to you anymore in love and relationship is being cut away. And whatever does belong to you coming forward into relationship is being brought to you. Things eclipsing in, things eclipsing out. Okay, that kind of energy. Now, how that will be translated into like 3D, like details of your love life, your relationship, you would have to reinterpret that, because I'm coming from the broad spiritual perspective here. I'm not a fortune teller. So please allow for that. There's deep transformational soul healing going on inside of you. And again, I think it's to do with the eclipses. We just had this July 12th, and you're going to have this huge cluster on August 23rd. So you're getting a glimpse of the Capricorn Cancer dynamic, the energy of polarity on the 1st and 7th house, which is all about your most important relationships. You might be getting these like big jolting awakenings now, like whatever is yours comes to you, whatever is not yours moves away, and then so be it. And that can be quite painful in some ways. Maybe you are witnessing the severance of a relationship. Maybe you're witnessing the severance of yourself from a relationship and valuing yourself very highly and allowing the other to move on in peace. That kind of thing. Okay, let's have a look. What about inside the other? Okay. Well, some people call this the nostalgic card. It might be that you, Capricorn, are relating with someone who's really kind of lingering on the past here, and they know it, but knowing that they have to move on. So there could be a little bit of sorrow, what I'm sensing, potential sorrow for everything that was invested and everything that didn't work out and everything that coulda, woulda, shoulda been, but didn't happen. So all you have left is basically history or herstory, depending on your perspective and your gender. And then without knowing it, wishing and looking for love, but forgetting that it's out there. And remember, this is a reading for you. It's not a couple's reading. We're just allowing for the significant other. So deep inside of them, it's almost like, when a relationship matures over time and it has history and substance and family and properties and everything, all that kind of abundance. But people and that kind of can appear that way on the surface, but deep down, people change radically and evolve on the inside, where you could be changing radically and transforming. And they are already doing that in their own sense of moving away in some way, or perhaps coming to you towards peace, seeking peace with you, um, like based on the good times shared. Like if only we could reconnect back at the soulmate level, like how we used to be, that would be so nice. Also, I would love to relate at the soulmate level instead of perhaps just good old fashioned classic solid Capricorn 3D. And these kind of dynamics could be very, let's say, um, disruptive for you, Capricorn, in that it's coming at you from the outside. Again, going back to this first house, the seventh house dynamics. So to me, this feels quite uncomfortable, even though it feels like you're doing the right thing, holding up your side of the relationship. Anyway, let's have a look at the core here. Okay, some people call this a divorce card. Some people call it the widow card. Some people call it a separation. Some people call it like I use it often as the healing power of no. Like when the relationship is radiating this kind of energy at the core, where it's kind of stark and simple, where there's no room for fakery or BS or, you know, putting a smile on it or, going through the motions of a relationship. It's like a kind of a harsh reality check where certain things are happening for you, Capricorn, where change is inevitable. And the relationship is like totally fine in that, like, well, let's just make this work. Bring in what would be peaceful for you. What would you consider a more loving relationship going forward, dear other person? Because from my perspective here as the Capricorn, what I'm sensing is a parting of the ways. Sure, I would truly appreciate bringing things back into balance. Bring it on. Like, tell us what you need. Tell me what's not working. Tell me what would work, and then we can have a chance to figure that out. Meanwhile, it's showing the symptoms of deep transformational shifting, moving on, changing, ecliptic style energy. But this is just one little reading for August, but because of these eclipses, what just happened in July 12th and what's going to happen on August 23rd, I think you're getting a glimpse of big changes for you, huge changes for you that are coming in 2019 when the Capricorn Cancer eclipses are going to be full on. So you might just be getting a glimpse. This might be just a precursor. Let's have a look. Momentum. Okay. So it looks deeply in question here. It looks like the whole relationship itself is deeply in question. And like to me, it feels like there's a lot at stake here with the Lover's card having to bringing things into stark reality. Like what is actually going on here? We can't, act out roles anymore. It's not acceptable. It's evident that it's evident. It's evident, my dear, that you're hurting in some way. You're nostalgic about the past and how things were, and I can see you looking to distant horizons. And then it's like, well, what do you expect? We've lost the love, or can't we reconnect how we used to? And you're like, well, we've got it all already. I mean, what are you complaining about? Look at us. Look what I've got. And it's just like, well, I can tell that you're going deep transformations, but you're not talking about it because you're so immersed in 3D, because you're a good old solid Capricorn. But I'm just letting you know because I'm coming at you from the love angle. Oh, seriously? Yeah. Can't you see that? Can't you feel how we're close to break point? See? Oh my gosh, yes, I see what you're talking about. Aren't you sick of the BS? Well, I was going to ask you, aren't you sick of the BS? We can't live through it, faking it all the time or, acting as if everything's great and wonderful. No, it's time to make some decisions. We need to have important conversations. And because there's a lot at stake here. There is our relationship, the lovers, like where we have been exposed to the very best of each other and the very worst of each other. And you might already be Capricorn in a long-term relationship, or you might be just even in the early days and you're already sensing these tumultuous like elements of relationship dynamics coming into play. Like, oh my God, what is actually going on as opposed to what appears to be going on, getting deep into it, looking into the crucible itself. Is the crucible intact? Is the relationship intact? Is the relationship viable anymore? Then you have to make very, very big, important decisions. Am I really, truly, like, you know, am I truly the one for you? And are you truly the one for me? We need to talk about this. We can't just like let things like, just fall apart. We don't do that. We're adults here. Okay, that's what I'm sensing in this reading. I hope I didn't scare you, Capricorns. I don't want to say too much more. I don't want to blow things up. There's a lot of turmoil and change coming up simply because of the eclipses. But for you, Capricorns, especially in 2019, it's going to be full on. Like this thing here is going to be full on. Like what is happening in my love life and my relationships? Seriously. Okay. So there we go. We're just getting a glimpse now. You're holding up very well, but it's very obvious that there's a lot of shift and change going on just below the surface. Okay. Thanks for visiting. All the best. Bye-bye. Love thyself, by the way, through this. Love thyself. Be loving and be loved. Okay. Maintain your highest levels of integrity. Okay. Sorry, I just had to add that. Bye-bye. Wow.